So we all daydream about having more time, right? More money, more power, the whole shebang. But what if you actually got it? Today, we are unpacking a massive, absolutely immersive thought experiment. It takes the ultimate human fantasy and, get this, turns it into a profound psychological trap. So get comfortable because we're diving straight into the deep end of human existence and really looking at our deeply rooted relationship with time. Okay, let's put you right in the center of this scenario. I want you to imagine you're being offered the ultimate cosmic would you rather. Here's the deal. You get exactly 1 million years of life. And not just, an ordinary life. We're talking all the wealth and literally all the power in the entire world. For 1 million years, you are practically invincible. You're living in absolute luxury and total dominion. You can do anything, see anything, build anything you want. But there's a catch. One non-negotiable condition attached to this incredible offer. At the very end of that 1 millionth year, you will face absolute, undeniable nothingness, total non-existence. You will completely cease to be. I just want you to pause for a second. Let the heavy weight of that choice really sink in. Do you accept this offer? Does this prospect fill your heart with overwhelming excitement, or does it do something else entirely? Okay, let's dive into this and break down this really stark contrast. On one hand, we've got the ultimate material fantasy. It is the absolute pinnacle of human worldly ambition. 1 million years, unimaginable wealth, and absolute power. It basically represents everything a person could ever want in a physical worldly sense, just magnified to a scale that's almost impossible to comprehend. But waiting on the other side is the void. Absolute nothingness at the very end, the complete utter erasure of your consciousness and your existence. When we put these two concepts side by side, we're kind of forced to see how that impending void immediately starts to infect the material fantasy. The source material here is asking us to consider whether the sheer volume of the reward on one side can ever truly actually make up for the absolute devastation of the reality on the other. Now, you might be wondering where this intense hypothetical actually comes from. Well, let's look at our source text. This is drawn from a philosophical analysis known as the 11th truth from the 10th word, or onenju soz in its original context. And listen, this isn't just some fun internet riddle. It's actually a highly calculated, profound psychological tool designed to literally dissect the core of human nature. You see, the author isn't actually interested in the wealth or the power itself. Those extreme variables, they're being used intentionally to isolate a very specific psychological reaction. By offering us the absolute greatest possible temporary reward, the text acts like a giant mirror. It reveals what's truly hiding at the very bottom of the human heart and mind. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the precise conclusion the analysis draws about our internal psychological reaction. The text states, and I quote, "If the imagination were told, you will be given 1 million years of life and world dominion, but in the end you will definitely become nothing. Unless it deceives itself, it will feel sorrow, not joy." Think about how profound that is for a second. The text is arguing that our natural, unfiltered reaction to this seemingly amazing offer is actually a deep inner pang of sadness. And why is that? Well, it's because the imagination is fundamentally honest when it's confronted with absolute nothingness. Unless we actively distract ourselves, unless we intentionally deceive ourselves by just refusing to look at the end of the deal, that looming void of nothingness strips away all the joy. It essentially tells us that even the greatest temporary thing, no matter how vast it is, ultimately fails to satisfy us. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that sorrow creeps in. Let's walk through this timeline together. Okay, year 1. You're wealthy, you're powerful, and you have virtually endless time ahead of you. It feels absolutely fantastic. Now, fast forward to year 1000. You've lived longer than any human in history. And hey, you still have 999,000 years left. But let's push this timeline all the way out to year 1 million. As that final year approaches, the massive wealth and the million years of memories suddenly completely lose their value. Why? Because waiting at the end is an absolute wall, absolute nothingness. The text points out that no matter how far out we push the timeline, that sudden drop-off into non-existence creates an existential dread that actually echoes backward through time, tainting even year 1. The length of the timeline doesn't cure the dread, right? It really just delays it. So, what does this all mean? Why exactly does the offer fail? Why does 1 million years of ultimate power leave us feeling hollow inside? Well, the text breaks down human psychology into a few core elements here. First up, we have desires reaching to infinity. Our wants aren't just biological or practical, they are literally boundless. Give us 1 million years and our minds will instantly desire 1,000,001. Second, we have thoughts encompassing the entire universe. Our intellect can conceive of endless galaxies and endless time. So how could a mind capable of grasping the infinite ever truly be satisfied with a finite timeline, even a super long one? And third, the text argues we have a deep, innate yearning for permanence. It's just hardwired right into us. The greatest, most luxurious temporary offer in the universe fails because it fundamentally contradicts this internal architecture. It simply cannot satisfy our smallest, most innate desire for things to actually last. Let's move to and see how this builds into a really cohesive argument about human nature in 3 distinct steps. Step 1. Humans inherently possess desires that reach out to infinity. This is our baseline psychological condition, our default setting. Step 2. Because of this baseline, any temporary offer, yes, even one lasting 1,000,000 years with absolute power, cannot possibly satisfy these desires. There's a fundamental mismatch in scale between what we are given temporarily and what we deeply, truly crave. Which brings us to the profound conclusion in step 3. Humans are designed for eternity, not a finite timeline. Think about it. If we were truly meant for a finite, temporary existence, the 1,000,000-year offer would bring us pure, unadulterated joy. The fact that it brings us a sense of sorrow is presented as the definitive proof that we are fundamentally built for permanence. Now, having established this deeply ingrained psychological need for permanence, the text then transitions to a resolution. It moves from diagnosing the human condition to presenting what we can impartially frame as the Quranic resolution. The source text positions this religious framework as the direct, perfectly tailored response to the exact dilemma exposed by our thought experiment. The argument here is that if the human heart is constantly crying out for an eternity that this physical, temporary world simply cannot provide, well, there must be a source that actually answers that specific, innate call for endless permanence. So the crucial point is how this specific promise perfectly counters the dread we've been talking about. The text quotes Surah Al-Bayyinah, chapter 98, verse 8. Their reward is with their Lord, gardens of eternity, beneath which rivers flow. They will abide therein forever. Now notice the specific language being used here, gardens of eternity, and abide therein forever. This is presented as the ultimate counter to that dread of nothingness from our earlier timeline. The text highlights this verse because it offers exactly what the 1,000,000-year thought experiment completely lacked: absolute permanence. It argues that this promise of an eternal stay is the only thing that perfectly aligns with those infinite desires and universe-encompassing thoughts we discussed earlier, completely resolving the existential sorrow of a finite world. Which brings us to the end of our journey today, and I want to turn the mirror right back to you. We've explored the complex psychology of infinite desires, the creeping dread of absolute nothingness, and that innate human search for ultimate permanence. So, knowing what you know now about your own mind's demand for eternity, ask yourself, would you accept the live 1,000,000 years but then become absolutely nothing offer? Could you truly enjoy it? Or would the shadow of nothingness ruin the whole 1,000,000 years from day one? Think carefully about your answer. And actually, more importantly, think about why you answered that way. It just might tell you everything you need to know about what you are truly built for. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning everything.